2, 1.
We're here at day 3 in Valencia of the 1-Layline 33rd America's Cup. Sailing Anarchy special report coverage. We've got Marcus Young, Commodore of Golden Gate Yacht Club, a man who's been behind a lot of the action here this week and the last 2 years today with me. How do you feel, first of all, Marcus, about the fact that we're now into day 3? We haven't seen any racing. We had no wind the first day and apparently too much wind or too many waves today. What do you think of the weather?
Well, I think like everything with this America's Cup, everything has been contentious. Not surprised that we're into day 2 of racing with no racing. I will say this, being out there today though, the conditions were perfect, absolutely perfect. If we can't race today, I think we're going to be hard pressed to find a good day to race. So I'm a little concerned as we kind of start spreading this out that we're not going to find this perfect day that's going to make everybody happy.
We weren't actually out on the water, but can you, I mean, we were told windy waves. If you say it was perfect, then what was it?
Well, the steady wind, and the seas were about 1.5 meters, which I understand they like to keep them around 1 meter for the guys down the street. But frankly, it's to not be out there today is a little bit disappointing, to say the least.
Yeah, that sounds unfortunate. Is it, do you think, a race committee fault, a PRO fault? You say that they want to do it for the guys down the street. You guys clearly here at BMW Oracle, we want to be racing in breeze. For catamarans in general, for big cats, was it actually, would it have been a possibility of braking, or is it really just?
You know, I'm not a cat sailor, so I don't know what the delta is, and I definitely don't know what the delta is for the guys down the street. I can tell you though that from our vantage point, it sure looked like perfect conditions to go out. Today was, at least as far as I'm concerned, was a real decent day. I think what we're struggling with right now is the fact that we've got a 20-mile race course, and as you know, as a sailor, trying to find equal pressure for 20 miles is almost impossible. And I think when the founders of the deed, came up with this idea of this 20-mile race course, they didn't have the instrumentation or any of the data that we have today to figure that out. If you had wind at the start, you sent the boats out, and the first one back was the one that won. And today it just seems like this is getting very complicated and a little bit silly, frankly.
So it seems, I was going to ask you, I mean, if you thought maybe we could come to an agreement, race on the in-between days if the weather was actually cooperatable, but it sounds like if you thought today was raceable and it's really just a problem between the two teams, it's like the last 2 years. I mean, we've seen contention from day one, almost the day that 2007 Cup ended. Can you explain maybe why you feel like it's so sour, why the feeling is almost personal? Why haven't they been able to settle?
That's a good question. We've given that a lot of thought. It's hard to imagine that two guys, and when I say that I mean Larry and Ernesto, who were really on the same page for the last Cup and going into 2007, the 32nd America's Cup, which was honestly a terrific event. Even though we didn't do well, I'll tell you, it was a terrific event. I was here. To come from that to where we are today is baffling to me, because really what I think we've always wanted is to have a traditional America's Cup where you have multi-challengers, you go through the same things that we do all the time for these things, and have it be very inclusive. And every step along the way, Jenny, every step along the way, there was a roadblock put up for that. And this is what we have today, is this kind of a aberration, if you will, of a race that really we just need to get through. We need to get through this. So
do you think, and it sounds like you're saying no, but there was never any chance behind the scenes to come to any sort of consent? There was no action that maybe wasn't in the courts, wasn't with the lawyers, there were no phone calls that could have settled, that would have been from our, I mean, did Oracle try and just completely shut down? You call it a roadblock, but what kind of a roadblock?
Well, I think, Jenny, you and I both know the history on this. And unfortunately, I don't have my notes here. I can't go through every little point where there were opportunities for this not to have happened. But there were several over the last 24 months at least, where we could have maybe come up with something better than what happened. That being said, however, let's not dismiss the fact that this is going to be a pretty awesome event if we ever get on the water and actually race it. So I think, at this point, probably the best thing to do is to look forward, try to get these race days in, and try to get this event going.
All right, well, so another question for you. In terms of the fact that we couldn't actually come to an agreement, it came down to the courts, and a lot of those papers and a lot of that stuff had your name signed on it.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. How did that make you feel? I mean, you've almost become a bad guy in Europe to some people. You're just, in my mind, the commodore of the club down the street from the club that I'm a member of, and yet you've turned into a person who has to sign every legal document that goes out. And now that it is so bitter and it's spent so much time in court, you've signed a lot of sheets of paper, right?
Yeah, I have. I will say the best way to answer that, I think, is to say that every step of the way, myself and my club has been 100% behind the team in their direction and how this was going to play out. And along with that, we've also been extremely interested in reaching some kind of consensus every step of that way. And every time we made that attempt was shut down by the guys down the street. So, and I keep using that term, and I apologize because they're right down the street. But every time that we've tried to get there, that's what's happened. As far as my role of signing the documents, it's the role that we have as the Yacht Club. We are the challenger. It's not Mr. Ellison, but it's the Yacht Club that challenges for this, and that's a role that I'm happy to play, actually, in this historic event.
You're a young Commodore here. How do you?
Well, thank you, Jane. Thank you very much.
I'm assuming you are. I won't ask your actual age, but how do you feel that helps you or hurts you in terms of your personal reputation when you're around the other Cup teams and the other Commodores from the other yacht clubs?
I don't think it's hurt me at all. Quite frankly, I think it's a little bit of a surprise. I think when they meet the Commodore of the Golden Gate Yacht Club and
the man who signed all those sheets of paper.
Yeah, it's usually that first, and then the fact that I'm probably a little bit younger than the other guys. But I don't think that's really hurt me very much at all. We had a really interesting coin toss ceremony for the opening ceremony situation, and it kind of gave me a flavor for what to expect.
And you liked it because you won.
I liked it because I won, but I think it gave me a sense of kind of what we're dealing with here in Valencia. And this town has been extremely warm and welcoming to us and our team, and we're very happy to be here.
That's great. Another question for you. We've heard from some people that Golden Gate Yacht Club might be sort of seen as the mouthpiece for Larry. I know it as a club down the street. What do you know it as, and could you say that that's the case or not?
Yeah, the Golden Gate Yacht Club and Larry Ellison have a wonderful relationship. He is a terrific benefactor for our operation, and when I say that, I mean that he supports our youth sailing program and many other things that we do at the club. He's also a tremendous sailor. If you go up and look through some of the photographs that we have in the base, you'll see that the Golden Gate Yacht Club Burgee is flying in the TP-52s and in many other regattas that Mr. Ellison races, and that is something that we're extremely proud of. As far as being a mouthpiece for the team or anything like that, our relationship is a business relationship with respect to the team, in the sense that we all have a role to do. We all have a duty to what we're doing, and that duty is that the team races for the Cup. We're the challenging yacht club, and we all do our jobs in that respect. But beyond that, there are many benefactors to the Golden Gate Yacht Club, including Philippe Kahn, who's a member, and we've hosted Shark in our club many a day back during his Mellitus 24 days. And so, we do have a lot of interesting members at our yacht club. It's not just Mr. Ellison.